Forecourt Idiot has now taken over the stream. I'm sorry, we've kicked that guy out. We are back. Shane Gucher, FourCourtJester. Here's the draft. We're going to pretend those last 4 minutes didn't happen. I am so sorry, chat. But here's your draft. Now, because we didn't hear any of that, Sergeant Hammer hype! Yes! Finally! Oh my god, that took forever. That's into the finals. It's a very prompt place to put him.
Yes. So touching back on what I was saying, that's okay. Gotta keep me on my toes and make sure I can recall what I said. Cloud9 Vortex is the team we haven't seen in ESL for a very substantial amount of time. The last time we saw them was dating all the way back to December, where they actually won the December monthly final and they took out Tempo Storm, the big North American dogs. They've been the alpha dog for quite some time now. So it's they definitely have what it takes to take down top teams. Barrel Boys is definitely a top team at this point in time. Though since they've taken down Tempo Storm, they've had a lot of fluctuations in their roster, and both positive and with positive and negative results. Though I think they have finally found themselves a good 5-man roster that they feel comfortable with, and they're feeling reinvigorated. They're ready to come into this fight and ready to show the world that Cloud9 Vortex is here to stay. Looking at the draft, ladies and gentlemen, the Diablo Illidan is coming back once again. So heavy initiation, heavy aggression in the team fights coming out from Cloud9 Vortex. Let's introduce the boys in red. On the right side of the map, we have Tazza playing the Diablo Illidan, being played by Fan. Zix on the Uther, Bobby Hank Hill on the Vala, and Syracuse, former of Glorious Gaming, is playing the Witch Doctor Nazebo.
5. So once again, do apologize to the chat. Of course, YouTube will not notice any of that, but yeah, we were muted that entire time. Thank you so much for being patient with us. But thank you again, Shane, for leading us off there. The guys in blue, we've been watching them a lot tonight. They have made it here into the finals virtually from game 1. We've had them here on stream. Erho to be holding down that top. Kiyanda into the mid, and that leaves us with Blinks, McIntyre, and Trummel. Now, unfortunately, we didn't really get to talk a lot about the drafts. These guys were on the trigger. I was almost trying to match them for speed. I still couldn't do it. So sorry that we didn't really get any of that analysis in. But in the end of it all, we have ourselves a Sergeant Hammer. She's looking beautiful there into this bottom lane. The Tychus to go with that anti-Illidan aggression. And of course, you know, we got Blinks down here with the with that Tassadar. Now, this is the first game, I think, in 3 that the Barrel Boys didn't get a 2.5 or a 3 support lineup.
You're right, and I feel like that's a lot of that is due to the fact that they weren't able to get the Tyrana. They did get themselves the Tassadar, but they weren't able to get that Tyrana, which they've been putting so much emphasis on. And again, I talked about it a little bit in the draft, but unfortunately none of you guys heard it. Where the ban on Tyrana felt like an intentional one. They know that Cloud9 Vortex puts a lot of priority onto the Vala Demon Hunter. They weren't going to pick up Hammer over Demon Hunter. Kind of reading a good read from Barrel Boys in the draft. So they went ahead and says, okay, we know we're going to pick ourselves a Sergeant Hammer, though. What's a hero that will make Sergeant Hammer's life a living hell? That's Tyrana, because any Tyrana that is worth anything can get a decent Hunter's Mark and Lunar Flare combination onto the Sergeant Hammer. Follow up from that, boom, that's a dead tank.
And a dead tank is definitely going to be a big way to go, because, you know, the Sergeant Hammer puts up just such pressure. If you can remove her from a lot of this, then absolutely you can definitely do some really good things. Also, you know, we kind of glossed over this. Nazebo coming back. This is our first Nazebo game tonight. So enough of all that, because 2 minutes in, we're going to be looking at tributes in 45 seconds. Nothing really going on in these top 2 lanes. It's all about the party push into this bottom. But so far, really, it's been back and forth, just a lot of healing going back. And you said that we weren't seeing a lot of melting point today, but McIntyre, he's definitely bringing it back.
Yeah, the new standard build for Tychus, which the European teams really set a standard for. Trummel's going to back up, he's careful. Is building into the overkill talents. And that's what he did at level 1, getting the armor piercing rounds. So the damage on the priority target, not on the secondary targets, is 20% more. Now, the one you go at level 4, I believe, increases the damage overall by 15%. I have to look up to that. I can't quite remember. But Melting Point is still a very, very strong talent. Even if you're going with talents with an emphasis on overkill, Melting Point is still incredibly strong and just so much damage to structures. It's still going to get picked up every now and then. I still think from here on out, we're going to see the overkill talents. Now, what I want to know is what heroic is he going to go? Owen is still a very viable heroic. It still does a lot of damage. It's a little bit different in the way it has to, in the way you have to play Tychus. though you mentioned it before, we have been seeing laser pop up every now and then with varying amounts of success.
Right.
And it's I can't wait to see what heroic he ends up picking here.
Yeah, we have actually been seeing a lot of the rise of the lasers. Definitely in the EU side of things, some of the games that I saw today, Tempo Storm, I believe, actually had the drill ready to go. Fan up top is going up against Airho. They have not left their lanes, but they have been clashing a lot. Looks like Fan is getting a little bit more worse end of the stick rather than dominating. But Trummel down here with the Rhaegar, they were able to put the tribute into the pocket of the Barrel Boys, so they do got that 1-0 lead. And you can see Blinks is the guy that apparently gets the duty of going to grab the bruisers. Doesn't really get them in short order, but he will have them for the next tribute. So that's going to be good timing there. That does leave us into the bottom lane without a healer, but so far we have been able to refute just the advances of Uther, because on the flip side, Syracuse and Bobby Hank Hill are doing the Merc thing here as well.
Level 4 talent I was talking about, spray and pray, and it increases the range of the overkill. So that's definitely a substantial talent if you're going with the overkill build. That, you know, you kind of give up a lot by going multi-point, but once again, it's a good trade-off. It's not like you're giving up a whole bunch for it. You're still going to be very effective with that multi-point. Bottom lane under a lot of pressure, almost got the zombie wall on to either McIntyre or Trummel. Though they probably would have got away nonetheless. Second tribute is on the map. This one's going to favor Cloud9 Vortex a little bit more. The positioning is a little bit closer to their home base. We're going to see maybe a little soak and poke coming out of Barrel Boys. Don't think we're going to see any hard initiation on for it, though.
Well, there hasn't really been too much of a difference in the experience going back and forth, but a little bit of pushing around that fight dog. Blinks is definitely going to have to be a bit more cautious. We do got a healing ward now down in that bush. McIntyre going to try to defend it, I guess, but the front line of Taza and Zix is going to be able to put a tribute now into the pocket of Cloud9 Vortex. So it's not going to be the straight 3-0 pressure for the Barrel Boys. And Fan, again, like last time we saw him up here, he wasn't doing so hot, but he does have that Immolate now ready to go. And he is actually trading out pretty decently here with Airho, although now maybe it pressed his luck a little bit too much, but it looks like he's going to be all right by the end of it all. Towers back and forth. It's definitely Fan doing a little bit better into this top lane, because we have not had any visitors, and they know the limitations of their heroes very well. Level 10 now, Shane, is going to be achieved for this next tribute for both sides. And what do we got coming to the table of the barrels?
So the big one, everything is pretty standard. It is going to be the Odin, though. That was the one I was looking for. So no lasers today. So unfortunately, we're not seeing big old bright lights beaming people apart. But the other big one to take home here is the Mosh Pit. Looking at Cloud9 Vortex. Oh no, Illidan getting taken out. A solo kill onto Illidan from Arrow. That's a big misplay. And now they're going to lose out on all that top lane soak. Illidan is going to be down for the next tribute. This is pretty much a free tribute for Barrel Boys. So a good play by Arrow, and definitely a little bit of a misstep from the Illidan player. And it looks like Barrel Boys are quickly going to push the envelope here and just push this top lane and try to get some more towers at level 13 as soon as they can.
Yeah, you'll notice that Trummel is up here. He is now getting fully supported. He has Stone Bros in the back, ETC there in the front, Blinks with those chain heals to keep them safe, and there goes that gate in fairly short order. There was a tribute back here as well, 2 now into the pocket of the barrels, but Bobby and Syracuse into this bottom lane. They have to deal with Kianda. He has that healing ward down, but they're trying to equalize out as much siege damage as they can, and the Lightning Breath! Fan over the wall is enough to take down the Tychus in the mid lane. So a kill that equals them out, but the top fort goes uncontested. There's absolutely nothing Zizix could have done about it. And that will put us now very close to 13. And with 2 tributes, Barrels are going to have a little bit of a window here to try to capitalize for a curse.
So Cloud9 Vortex narrowing the experience gap a little bit. They were down significantly before, but now it's just a quarter of a level. Both teams are going to have level 13 in no time flat here. A little bit sooner will be Barrel Boys. But that Lightning Breath, a couple of you might be thinking, ooh, using the Lightning Breath for a single kill on a Tychus, but it actually is a pretty short cooldown. In just 20 seconds, it's going to be back up. It's only a 60-second cooldown. So Lightning Breath is one of those heroics that you can use a little bit more liberally than other heroics. Zix is completely out of position. He's got to get out of there. Using the protective shield, healing himself up. Can he get out? He will. By the skin of his teeth. Right now, Barrel Boys is a small window. They do have level 13, and while Cloud9 Vortex does not.
Zix!
Oh, he gets taken out. McIntyre ends up taking him out. Well played by him. Now Taz is disconnected from the rest of his team. He goes down too. A lot of miscommunication from Cloud9 Vortex that is enabling Barrel Boys to get themselves a curse, get themselves a boss, get themselves a team fight.
Uther not respecting the new dash that comes out with those thrusters on the Odin. Yep. The Odin with the massive attack range as well as the Annihilation. Just, wow, just no respect right there. He stayed way too close to the fire there, and he goes down. Fan in that top lane with that solo queue from Erho. I knew he was playing close to the fire. I didn't think he'd get burned, but that's now twice we've seen some of these, you know, too close to that kind of mentality. Now we are having this boss being taken out by Cloud9 Vortex. They're defending, they're opting not to defend. They do not want to give up the double boss pressure, but bottom lanes has been absolutely ravaged. We have all of the Barrel Boys now down here looking for a keep because we got 15 seconds left on this curse. We have the 5-man defense ready to go from Vortex, but they are down a level. It's going to be really up to them to make this work.
Here's the initiation from Taza. He's going to back up, though. He's already so very low. A mosh pit onto Ziggs. Though the Ravenous Spirit is tearing apart Barrel Boys right now. Uther ends up going down, though. There's the Metamorphosis, and this is actually looking pretty damn good from the Barrel Boys, as the healing was just so completely soaked the damage from that Ravenous Spirit. Ravenous Spirit initially looked like it was doing a lot of damage, hitting 3-4 people. But Rhaegar was able to keep everyone on his team alive with help of the Tassadar shields. Obviously, Tychus has first aid as well. And once again, they got themselves a kill. They got themselves a keep. They're going to call that, get this siege over camp. Now they're level 16, and it's looking real good for them right here as we hit in the mid game.
Yeah, the level 16 is going to be the big one. Now, we did have that boss taken from Cloud9 during all that. That's going to get them a fort up into the top and will bridge a little bit of that experience gap. What kind of talents have we been seeing? Well, it's been a mix and an assortment, at least from the Tychus. He did actually go with the armor-piercing rounds, which we talked about, into the melting point, which we again talked about. But, you know, Relentless and Stone Skin, very kind of common that you see in that late game. The Tassadar with the Shrink Raid, not the Prescience, but does have Dimensional Warp. It's going to make him a little bit harder to kill overall. Sergeant Hammer with a very cookie-cutter kind of base on that. But, you know, it's also a big fight dog here with Blood for Blood. They opted not to go for the Earth Grasp.
Which is very interesting considering the fact that they're facing up against two heavy melee diving heroes in the Diablo and the Illidan. Easy to see how that works out. Nonetheless, Blood for Blood, you know, it has its offensive applications. It does have that snare attached to it as well. So it still has a little bit of, you know, some utility based in it. But most of the time, you use it for offensive reasons. Right. Not necessarily defense to keep yourself alive. If you're having to use it defensive, then use yours on the back of it to begin with. Level 16 here is almost for... Excuse me. Lunatic. Level 16 here is almost here for Cloud9 Vortex. Almost called Lunatic. And there it is. Bobby Hayne kill using the strafe. Not much being accomplished by it. And just the hover mode on Trumbull is such a big deal. Initiation on the blinks. Can they kill him? Can the just refilling go down? Yes. Not enough damage. The complete turnaround from Barrel Boys right there. Ravenous Spirit now being used. Ziggs is going to go down. And that was so close. The Rhaegar was so close to going down there, Sean. If he went down, that team fight could have gone Cloud9 Vortex way. But they were able to survive. Arrow actually is going to get taken on the front line, so maybe it's not looking too bad for him. After all, the Metamorphosis is now on cooldown. Trouble is in full retreat mode. And Fan, you can't get away from that Illidan. Diablo has to be careful, though. Unfortunately, he got a little bit too cocky and just got absolutely blown up. And that's something we've been seeing all days. These Diablo players thinking that they have infinite HP, going in there and just dying unnecessarily, especially considering the fact that he didn't have enough souls to resurrect after that. So not a little bit, definitely a big misplay out of the Diablo player, but still was actually pretty good considering everything that happened there for Cloud9 Vortex.
We have 3 Blood for Bloods between the two teams, 3 imposing presences as well. There is quite a few of these level 16 big name talents coming out. And yeah, we kind of pushed out a little bit too far there. It felt like from Cloud9 Vortex. Fan was there with the body blocks, but trying to kill out Kionda that late in the game without any kind of real big stuns. It was up to the Diablo to make it happen. So I suspect that's what they were really looking for. Just at least to try to solidify one more kill. Fortunately, just was the wrong kill that they got, and it was that Diablo going down. Now, into this level 17, we're about to hit 18 here from Barrel Boys. So they're still maintaining more or less a 1-level lead. They are still very much closer to that level 20 hype that we're going to be looking for soon. The tribute is going to be way up top. Everybody was gathered down here into the bottom, but we have all heroics up. This next team fight is going to be in these corridors, and this could actually lead great for Ravenous and great for Lightning Breath.
It's just a good overall for him, man. So the next tribute right here, are we going to see contention from Cloud9 Vortex. It looks like they're considering it. They're heading up there, but the tribute has been taken. This boss for Cloud9 Vortex is going to be alive in 30 seconds on the other side of the map. Barrel Boy's boss just respawning right now. I love the animation for that. It's so very cool. And Cloud9 Vortex is looking, they want to pursue Barrel Boys, but every time they do something like this, it doesn't tend to work out too well. They're definitely a little torn apart right here. Moments of hesitation. As the Diablo was sitting there, maybe they thought they were going to do the boss. They're going to go, no, we're going to go towards their boss. Not sure what they're going to do. Looks like they're finally making a commitment by rotating down to Barrel Boy's boss, and they showed it. They knew that Barrel Boys knows about this rotation that they're making. They're almost inviting them to come at us, man. Come down that choke point, and we're just going to initiate on you and kill you.
It's, yeah, going back and forth. The teams don't really seem to know what they actually want to fight over. And Erho, he's just going to make sure that he finds exactly where Cloud9 Vortex is going to be holding. 2 tributes to 1. I think it's a little bit too late now to start out bosses, even if we had clear pressure, because the tributes will be spawning momentarily. And Barrel Boys are on the cusp of another curse. A late game curse like this could be phenomenal, and it's going to be up to the Barrels to kind of make this work.
Oh, good initiation onto Tassadar, and Tychus also going down as well. This is the moment that Cloud9 Vortex was looking for. Experience even it up 3v2. Now there is going to be the overpower onto Trummel. Unfortunately, Sergeant Hammer ain't the fastest hero in the world, so a great, clean exchange going the way of Cloud9 Vortex. And this might just bust the game wide open here, Sean. They're going to get themselves another tribute. This is going to enable them to rotate across the map, get Barrel Boys his boss. That's going to get this bottom fort, which is already pushed in due to the Siege Ogres. Won't be surprised if they fall back and get their own boss. They could make an aggressive play and push this bottom lane with the boss to maybe try to get a keep. However, I highly doubt that's what's going to happen, as the respawn timers are still somewhat low. The majority of Barrel Boys are going to be alive here within the next 15 seconds.
Airhill just poking his neck in, looking to see what kind of pressure he can create, but he does have that much. Unfortunately, he has nothing to follow it up, so it would be suicide to try to go in and secure this boss for his team. It looks like he knows that as well. Yep. Blinks was there to support, but they didn't even finish off these bruisers. I mean, they were looking, and then they said, maybe they're at our boss. They went and found out this is going to delay the bruisers just a little bit, but it was enough time to get their team now back up and rolling. Both teams about to hit 19, but still, the surgical precision from Cloud9 Vortex in that last fight was phenomenal. If they get one more of those, they can swing this favor very much into their side of the game. And with level 20 now on the horizon, double boss to control the movements of the Barrel Boys, this next tribute is going to be clutch. Where's it going to spawn? Because I think it has to be, well, I was going to say top, but I guess I wasn't tracking that closely, was I?
Well, with all the action in this game that we've seen, finally a game that's action-packed as opposed to static, boring old lane play. We're seeing these teams just constantly exchanging blows. And right now, both these teams are even level. None of them are going to get level 20 anytime soon. And are they going to be able to get the tribute they do? Unfortunately, they were at moment of hesitation costing them there, Sean. Now they have to fight against a curse, but a reinitiation that actually might have been a little bit of a bait, though the Ravenous Spirit being used, not much going to get accomplished from it. Now Ravenous Spirit's going to be on cooldown for the next 90 seconds. With this curse, though, what is Barrel Boys going to be able to achieve? They have to fall back and clean up the boss in the top lane. He's going to get these 2 tier 2 towers. It's going to enable this top keep to go down at a later point in time. Obviously, Cloud9 Vortex are, kind of bottlenecked into a defensive position considering the curse, but they're definitely in their comms right now thinking about, okay, after this curse, we're going to be level 20, we're going to have an advantage. What is our next play?
So, getting the curse that early is not actually going to be doing Barrel Boys any kind of big favors. There's no pushes on the map.
I said that's a good point, yeah.
Right, yeah. So they don't have any kind of big pushes. There's nothing to capitalize on. They had to immediately go back and defend. There's nobody dead from Cloud9 Vortex. So the Barrel Boys, I mean, they removed the pressure of a curse from them off the board. That's it. They also provided themselves a little bit of a temporary reprieve from, of course, Cloud9 Vortex from getting that. But unfortunately, this next tribute is right back to the drawing board for them because we still have 2 tributes ready to go for Cloud9 Vortex. So they've extended their time a little bit, trying to buy themselves, I guess, enough time for level 20. But unfortunately, there was just not enough experience on the board. No real important buildings went down. And now it is not looking good for them as Vortex is 20 and they are not.
They might be sweeping in here to potentially push down a top keep. It's initially there was a lot of pings from Cloud9 Vortex going on this top keep. Looks like they just wanted to take the watchtower. Tassler, though, he's going to have to get out of there. Thankfully, he's a Tassler, not any other hero, because he might have just been blown up right there. Barrel Boys putting the pressure into bottom lane. This is forcing a retreat out of Cloud9 Vortex. They must have known that Cloud9 Vortex was in an aggressive posture, maybe to do some backdoor shenanigans. So good game sense coming out of them, forcing the response, forcing them to come back, and kind of just right now at a little bit of a stalemate between these two teams. Barrel Boys doesn't want to take a team fight. They don't have a level 20 quite yet, while Cloud9 Vortex is looking to take a team fight, but unfortunately they just haven't been able to get in position though. Zizix using the sprint, trying to get in there. Great plays from the ETC and the Sergeant Hammer, respectively, using their knockbacks to keep Uther from getting into position to land a 2-3-4-man Divine Storm. So that was a very good play by them. I'm glad that went recognized, because stuff like that sometimes doesn't get recognized. And that right there actually is a huge deal. If Uther got that Divine Storm off, that could have been a big team wipe, could have been the end of the game.
I was really expecting to see the end of this dance a little bit earlier, but it looks like the Barrel Boys have held on. There is no level 20 versus 19 window anymore, and they do get themselves their Blinks, their Rewinds, the Twilight Archon, and I want to say Nexus Frenzy, but it looks like we have other plans. It will be the Advanced Lava Strike. So Trummel and the boys, perhaps a little bit too scared of tribute pressure, and now they're going to be able to just show it from afar and try to delay as much as possible if need be. So level 20s at the 19-minute mark. We have 5 kills to 6. It's still very much anybody's game, although the late game momentum has now been going very widely here for Cloud9 Vortex. And this, oh man, if they catch Trummel here, that could be the end.
Kaza has to be careful. He can't overextend. He did initiate. There's the breath fire, but Barrel Boys is just going to be able to run away from it. The damage done, though. Sergeant Hammer is down. Ravenous Spirit at level 20 does so much damage. 2 already down for Barrel Boys. That's going to be 3, soon to be 4. They're going to fall back. They might not even fall back and get this curse. They might just push and try to end the game after getting all of these kills. That was just an explosive team fight right there. Shantaza went in there, got a dunk onto the Sergeant Hammer immediately by that level 20 breathe fire. Did so much damage. There's the curse. Top keep is dead to rights, and more than likely, this is just going to be the game going away with Cloud9 Vortex.
Yeah, so again, like buying your time with that curse, removing that pressure temporarily was a good gamble from Barrel Boys. They were able to prolong the game long enough to get 20, only to get caught by not only the Nazebo, but the Diablo, the Lightning Breath, the Ravenous. It was too much for Tremel to handle. He is, of course, only made of metal. And it's going to be it. That is going to be game number 1 going the way of Cloud9 Vortex here in the finals of the ESL Go4Heroes Americas Cup number 14.
So the early stages of that game and the early parts of the middle game, Barrel Boys was in a very strong position. Through clean play, through good rotations, and just simply outmaneuvering their opponent, they're able to get themselves a substantial experience lead. Cloud9 Vortex, they were definitely it seemed like they weren't on the same page with each other. They had moments of hesitation that cost them a couple of objectives, moments of hesitation that cost them bosses. But they definitely reconsolidated. They got themselves together. And obviously, once we hit the around level 18, level 19, they just all of a sudden just took off with that game. A great initiation. They finally were able to utilize the Diablo as that initiating tool that we know him so well for, without him getting completely destroyed and picked apart, enabled him to get the lightning breath off, do the damage, build in the metamorphosis in, and take the team fight from there. So very well played by them, definitely showing wherewithal to fight through the storm, get game 1 of the best of 3 between these two teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the first time we've actually seen Barrel Boys drop a game. Can they drop the set? That's going to be the big question as we go into game number 2. Map striking looks like it's about to start, which means we're going to be jumping on into game number 2, where I unmute the mics properly and we talk to you for an extended amount of time. I swear, Forecourt Idiot is no longer here. He is my evil twin. He took over temporarily. Do apologize. But game number 2, what map will it be on? Will be the Salty Run back to Curse. We've been seeing a lot of Sky Temple today. Dragonshire is a typical number 2 map coming into this, but Shane, we're gonna find out. So quick break. We're gonna get our popcorn and see you guys here for game number 2 in just a few. So stay tuned.